Alright, hello everyone. I'm here with Rory, coach of the Dundee Dittos. I'm Harry, coach of the Cerulean City Mewtwo. How you going, Rory?
Yeah, I'm alright. Good to be on here.
Alright, so we're here for season 3 of the YCL. So we'll go through quickly how the draft went down. So start with 760 points and 11 picks to use those 760 points. The tiers went from 140 points down to 20. Rory was the second pick and I was 11th. So it just goes down and up again. So we'll go through our picks in a moment. But did you go in with a bit of a plan, Rory?
Yeah, so after I saw that I was second pick, my first pick was a no-brainer. I love Celesteela. I think I've had it maybe the past 3 or 4 drafts I've been in. So I knew I wanted Celesteela first. And I tend to, for any draft league I'm in, I like to pick Pokemon that either have a completely solid role or are very versatile. There's no halfway, no in between. So as we're going through, you'll see that that's the case for most of my Pokemon. They're either very versatile in what they can do, or they have a one distinct role that is hard to break through and melds with the rest of the team.
Yeah, I sort of had the same idea in mind. I think in a draft like this, you want to start off with something strong, something you can see yourself bringing every week. Celesteela was that for you. I know when I'm prepping for Celesteela, there's no clear set that you can always expect, but there's plenty of dangerous roles, especially with that beast boost. I had a similar plan, thinking I'd go for either Mew, which I used last season and really enjoyed, or Urshifu single strike. Both of them went in the first and third pick, so it didn't take long before I had to completely change my plan on that. Alright, we'll get into our picks now and how the draft went down. So with Urshifu and Mew going so early, I really struggled to choose what I'd pick first. But I think Dragapult still being available at the 9th pick, it's hard to be disappointed by it. It is another Pokemon that's really versatile. I can see myself bringing it every week. Got that really high speed stat at 142. It can be used as a special Pokemon, physical. It's got Dragon Dance. It's got Thunder Wave and Will-O-Wisp that can be used with Hex Set. It's got U-Turn for that pivoting role. So I think I'll really enjoy it. I haven't really used Dragapult too much, so I am looking forward to playing around with it and yeah, hopefully surprise a few people with how I can use it. And no surprise here, Rory picked his Celesteela. So Rory, why did you pick Celesteela?
Just what you touched on there, just the same with Dragapult. The versatility of Celesteela I found to be great, especially now with Meteor Beam being introduced in Generation 8. So obviously you've got Meteor Beam and Power Herb set with Autotomize, so you can set it up, speed creep and get your Autotomize off. You'll speed creep your opponent and then just go for it with Meteor Beam. So you'll get obviously your +1 special attack straight away. Attack, if you get the KO, Beast Boost comes in there. If you set it up right, you'll get a Beast Boost for special attack. So I've used it previously. I think it was actually in another draft that you set up yourself. First game, I went for Autotomize. The person switched out into an Entei, and then it was just bait. Meteor Beam, Power Herb, got the KO. So in the first 2 turns, I was in +2 speed, +2 special attack, and it just went from there. Celesteela beast boosting its way through the game. Obviously, last season I don't really watch VGC that much, but when I did actually watch a couple of games, you saw Celesteela just standing there, just being an absolute unit of a wall, constantly racking up the defense boosts with Beast Boost. So yeah, it's got that defensive capability, obviously Leech Seed stalling, Air Slash, breaking through teams. I also have used obviously Dynamax isn't allowed in this tier, in this draft, but I've seen it before as well. If you get a Dynamax off and you're physically offensive, you can get the Beast Boost through there. It just, once it gets out of control, there's no stopping it really. Probably red card maybe, but apart from that, yeah, I would just go with that.
Yeah, I think, like you said, Meteor Beam, definitely added that extra layer to Celesteela. It was already really dangerous in the last generation, but I mean, if you can use Automize and then Meteor Beam and get a kill, you're going to +2 speed, +2.5 special attack if that's the set you're using. Same as like you're saying before with the defense boost. I think the Ultra Beasts are they're just something else. They're very hard to prep for, not knowing which stat they're potentially boosting. But yeah, if you're sitting in front of a Celesteela that's just automized, even if you know the Meteor Beam's coming, there's not necessarily a lot you can do about it. In that first pick, we both used 140 points. I think there was only 9 Pokemon in the draft that were worth 140 points, so it was the S plus tier. Funnily enough, the only thing in that S plus tier that didn't get picked was Tapu Lele, which was the kill leader from last season, which I was really surprised to not see go. But yeah, I think we both started off pretty strong, so it left us both with 620 points for 10 picks. We'll move on to pick number 2. For our second pick, so I went with a 100-point pick in the A tier. I went for Azumarill, which in my opinion was probably one of the value picks of the draft. You rarely see Azumarill get picked and not used. Generally gets a lot more kills than deaths. It's just solid. It's got so many good sets, like Choice Band sets, Belly Drum sets. It's got some Whirlpool trapping sets, Assault Vest sets. So I'm definitely looking forward to using that. And I think it just fits into my what I eventually ended up picking. As I said before, when my first couple of options got picked, I had to sort of change things on the run, and I think Azumarill's pretty easy to build around. In the last couple of seasons, I've picked Milotic, which has taken up that bulky water roll, so I tried to just mix it up a bit. I didn't want to be too predictable coming into this season. And Rory, you went for a B tier, so you went for Seismitoad. So why'd you go for Seismitoad?
Yeah, I went Seismitoad. So my second pick was actually planned in to be Rotom Heat. I have wanted to pick Celesteela and Rotom Heat together every draft that I've been in, maybe the past 3 or 4. Their combination together would be pretty good in my opinion. Unfortunately, somebody actually ended up picking that as their first pick, so there went that idea. Seismitoad was planned in to be my third pick. I have picked Seismitoad to go with Celesteela in the past 3 drafts as well. So, tailing off from what you said about predictability, oops, yeah, I might have done it again. But yeah, it's, in my opinion, such a defensive wall. Obviously, only one weakness, being Grass type, which Celesteela just laughs at. Sets rocks. It can be offensive as well if it gets rain ups through Swift Swim. So obviously, Swift Swim, Life Orb sets, physical or special. Gets knock off. Poison Touch is always nice when it comes off as well as an ability. Yeah, in my opinion, just really good wall. And generally, I think that's probably a value pick for me, being such low points, and then what it's done for me previously in drafts. Yeah, that was a no-brainer. It was, like I said, meant to be my third pick.
Yeah, and I think as well, like going after Celesteela, which I imagine it'd be unlikely that you'd leave Celesteela on the bench for many games. So Seismitoad being resistant to fire moves and immune to electric, I think that becomes a pretty good foil. So any choice locked Pokemon or Pokemon with not very good move pools, you're switching in Seismitoad, and it gives you a lot of opportunities to get rocks up as well. So yeah, I agree with that. I think it was a good pick to follow up Celesteela with.
Yeah, definitely. As well as the coveted Dracovish counter with water absorb, so that definitely helps for that game whenever that comes up, hopefully.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, I think I worked out in the final you can 2-hit KO an incoming Seismitoad with Dracovish, but I think the important thing is by making it run sets like that, making it invest in special attack to take out those physical switch-ins, it means that you can have a second counter to come in on the back of that, and it really reduces its effectiveness. Third pick, so for me, I went for Cobalion with another 100-point pick in the A tier. I think it just really rounded out my team, so I already had the Ghost and Dragon type in Dragapult and the Fairy Water type in Azumarill, so I think the perfect pick for me was Cobalion. I did consider Lucario, but I couldn't go past Cobalion's move pool, so Rory and I were just having a bit of a chat about it and what it really offers in team building, and its move pool's kind of ridiculous. Like, it's not incredible, but I think in draft it just has so many things that can come in handy, so many ways to boost itself with Swords Dance, Calm Mind, Work Up. It's got things like Thunder Wave, Volt Switch, Toxic, Stealth Rocks. I did think at one point when I was drafting it that it got Body Press, which would be amazing on it, but no real surprise that it doesn't get it. But I think its move pool in general, I think, can help me a lot. And I think it just backs up what I already had. Rory made a big play going for Silvally. So Rory, did you want to talk a little bit about Silvally and why you picked it?
Yeah, just what you said about Cobalion there, I agree with you on that. Its move pool, it's not broken, but it's difficult to prep for. It's just one of those that you wouldn't know what it's going to do. But yeah, just with Silvally, just what I said at the start of the video, basically, I look to make the team versatile, and you can't get much more versatile than Silvally. So base 95 stats across the board. Obviously, set it up whatever way you want, whatever type you want at the cost of an item. Not really a big deal, in all honesty. And then its move pool is, unsurprisingly quite ridiculous. Obviously, a physical attacking set, even if it's not invested, multi-attack is, or a stab multi-attack is nothing to be laughed at. I've seen yourself use multiple different sets, so you've had Tailwind, Swords Dance, Thunder Wave, Toxic. We were just discussing there, didn't even know that it got Terrain Pulse, so if at some point the opponent comes up with some form of terrain, could totally abuse that. It's got the beauty of Defog and Parting Shot as well. Just looking there, actually it's Magic Coat, which is a nice little move there. It can set a couple of weathers.
It's Defog.
Yeah.
Like it's so easy to fit on a team. Like I think I actually used it today in a draft battle. So Tailwind into Parting Shot. Like it's just kind of hard to play around. Like Mountay used it last season. I think he used Parting Shot on it a fair bit to set up some of his sweepers. Yeah, I think probably Silvally and Mew, they're probably the two hardest Pokemon in draft to come up against. Mew obviously has this enormous move pool, but Silvally, like, until it hits the field, you don't even know what type it is.
Yeah, that's what made it for me, to be honest. When I was looking to pick it, basically speaking to a couple of people, and came up with the idea that it's not to be picked on the basis of doing a specific role. So during the team building, I'll build the team around what I have already. So say Celesteela, if I'm going to make that offensive Pokemon, Sidematoad, Bulky, it would then be maybe the fifth or 6 Pokemon to be added to the team if there's something I'm missing. Silvally can come in and fit that place. It's not a case of I've picked Silvally to be an offensive fire type Pokemon and that's what it's going to be all the way through the draft. And to me, it's quite invaluable. 100 points for it, probably fair. Heard some people say it maybe should have been a bit less, but then, just what I've said there, in my eyes, it's too difficult to prep for to be a lower picked here.
Yeah, I think 100 points was probably spot on for it. I think it's one of those Pokemon that it can really highlight a draft coach's skill if you can use it well. Like, it just becomes such a difficult task for the other coach. Yeah, like, I know when I'm playing against Silvally, I'm always sort of waiting for that moment to lure in Silvally and just find out what its type is. So it's really hard to come in with a game plan against it. And the fact that you've got Silvally and then you've got Celesteela, who, coaches are always going to be looking at it thinking, which set are they bringing this week? I think it's just a huge thing. And I wouldn't underestimate what a parting shot can do into an incoming Celesteela that's already really bulky, and it's got those setup moves as well. So yeah, I think it's a pretty solid pick for you.
Yeah, managed to get it almost on the bounce. Obviously, I came back up with the draft to get Seismitoad. The first person got 2 picks, got Silvally there. So yeah, I will say definitely the position in the draft order made it easier to pick the team. But I wouldn't put it completely down to that. Obviously, some of the other guys have picked some pretty good things in different positions.
Yeah, no, I agree. 4th pick, so I went pretty heavy with my spending in the first few picks. So I had a look at the 20-point tier, knowing that I'd probably need to get some value down there just to make sure that I could round out my team. I did have a little bit of regret about it maybe later. I think I mostly picked it a bit impulsively just to make sure I had those points, but I don't think Vesper Queen was really at risk early. I think it was a really good value 20-point pick though, just for the rolls that it can give me. Sven used it really well last season and he was the season 2 champion. I think he took it every game, using it mostly for toxic spikes. It's got Defog, Aromatherapy, U-turn. So it can be quite useful. I can see myself using it a fair bit. But yeah, it's not a massive part of my team, but I hope that I can make it work. Rory went for a pretty big pick. I've always been a real fan of this. So Rory, do you want to talk a bit about why you picked Noivern?
Yeah, so Noivern was what, an 80 points pick?
Yep.
I feel that's a good value for Noivern. I mean, 123 base speed is, really good. I'd had quite a slow team, or a relatively slow team at the start, and I'm usually quite guilty for this. I'll pick slower Pokemon that are quite versatile in that, and end up being near the end of the draft and going, right, I don't have any fast Pokemon, I will just get completely swept unless I get something set up. So I went for Noivern. Not a Pokemon I've actually used in draft format before, but I think there was quite a while in between my 3rd and 4th pick, just obviously because we had to go down and all the way back up the draft, time zones, etc. So I had quite a while to think about it. And having a look at Noivern, so obviously the ability telepathy is useless in singles, but Frisk and Infiltrator can both be really helpful.
Yep.
Infiltrator was obviously more helpful with what I wanted my 5th pick to be, which was Ditto, which we don't want to really talk about that because it got stolen from me. But yeah, so Noivern I've seen it used more than often than not. Defogger, and then just U-turn out. But it gets some crazy stuff. So there's Boom Burst.
It gets Throat Spray now as well in Gen 8.
Yeah. So base 97 special attack plus Boom Burst plus Throat Spray at the speed that it already is. That's just, you're just racking it up there. And I've actually seen it used before in another draft where the person basically baited in a specially defensive wall by sending out Noivern, I think it was mid to late game, and just went for Dragon Dance. So it's like it could go Dragon Dance, physically offensive Pokemon, which again adds into that versatility that I look into picking up the draft. And its move pool is it's fairly diverse. I mean, Super Fang itself is, that's really helpful.
Yeah, Super Fang's really underrated in draft.
Yeah, just I think it's a bit of a gimmick because obviously it's a bat type, or a bat Pokemon. But yeah, I'm very happy with that pick. Obviously gets a couple of other wee niche things. So Tailwind, Switcheroo. I've already mentioned Super Fang. It's a taunt Pokemon, as well as getting Roost, Moonlight as well. Didn't actually know it got that until recently. And then, like I said there as well, it gets the Dragon Dance set, so Fuel Wing, Beat, obviously Dragon Claw, Leech Life. Yeah, you can just go through this for ages. You can just honestly go through its entire move pool. Like I said, with the U-turn being a pivoter, that's quite key. So yeah, very, very happy with that pick. And like I said before, Silvally can tie in here. So we'd have the Fairy type Silvally, Dragon, Noivern, and Steel, Celesteela, the DFS core.
Yep, no, I agree. And I think, Silvally is one of those ones where I think Fairy and Steel tend to be the two that get used a lot, but sort of change. If there's any weakness in another coach's roster, Silvally tends to find it. So yeah, I think I really like Noivern. I think some coaches find it hard fitting it into their team properly, but yeah, I think it does fit into yours really well.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll manage. Just going on your Vespiquen, and I agree. A questionable pick, one might say. But for 20 points, I think it's definitely worth the 20 points. It's probably worth a bit more from what it gets.
Yeah, I think I'm happy that I picked it as a 20-point pick. I think it's probably more that it was the fourth pick. I think it could have easily been, 6 at the earliest. So that was probably the thing I regretted. But I don't regret it too much now. I think my team ended up working out all right.
Yeah, but, I think. Yeah, like what you're saying is being the fourth pick. I mean, it's quite slow, so base 40 and it gets U-turn, so a slow pivoter, that's nothing to be laughed at. As well as, like you said previously, Toxic Spikes is always beautiful if they've not got a grounded poison type.
Yeah, I think, because I appreciated having Milotic with Flip Turn last season, but I think my problem with that was that because I had Dracovish, I was up against water absorbers a lot, so Flip Turn actually wasn't that useful. But this time having the slow U-turner as a pivot, I think will definitely help. Pick number 5, I went for Xatu, which probably doesn't go too well with Vespiquen, another Defogger, but I think having that threat of Magic Bounce, just a bit of a deterrent from opponents setting hazards. I also like being a Magic Bouncer, any kind of setup like Reflect, Light Screen, Cosmic Power, Roost, having that Magic Bouncer being immune from Taunt is really helpful. Decent typing with that Psychic and Flying. I can see myself bringing it a lot. It doesn't have an amazing move pool outside of that. I did use it in... So these are actually the two Pokemon that we both picked in the 5th pick. We actually both used in our speed tours. So I quite liked using Xatu as a Trick Room Pokemon. And you'll see later, I do have a little bit of Trick Room in my team. So you can expect to see a little bit of that. But yeah, I'll try to be a bit versatile in using Xatu this season, kind of like I was in the speed tour. But... Rory actually picked something that I was eyeing out, probably as my, 6th or 7th pick. But yeah, I'm glad that Rory picked up Slowbro Galar. I just think it's a really fun Pokemon. So do you want to talk about that a little bit, Rory?
Yeah, so, okay, first of all, apologies for picking it. I didn't realise you wanted it. um, yeah, so like you said, used it in the speed tour and had quite a bit of success, to be honest, with it. Again, it fits into that versatile and unpredictable role that I like to have. So we previously chatted that the general set you get is the regenerator ability with Assault Vest. Comes in, does damage, or just takes a hit, and then forces the switch, and then you obviously just switch out afterwards. A bit upset it doesn't get teleport. I was really hoping it did, but unfortunately, no, doesn't get teleport. So that's a bit of a bummer. But what I actually had the better success in the speed tour was the quick draw ability. I know it's a gimmick, but a 30% chance to move first is, yeah, I like that a lot. So I actually had it at the time. It had Nasty Plot, Grass Knot, Flamethrower, and Surf. And that was just to cover the 3 Pokemon that I had sort of worked out that my opponent would try and send in against Slowbro. As well, it held Colberberry to stop basically Dark type attack from the Incineroar on the other team. So I managed to get the Nasty Plot set up, and then basically just went from there. It just went in, quick draw, moved first, I think twice, and it picked up the KO, like Grass Knot, full health, Gastrodon, I think it was. As the rest of its move pool is just outrageous as well. So physically and especially offensive. Yeah, I mean, I've not actually used its is it side
Shell arm.
Shell side
arm.
Yeah, I've never used it, but so yeah, it's it could be physical or special, whatever would be stronger. So that's something else in there that they would have to think, right, I can't really switch in against. I can't switch in a specially defensive wall if that's going to hit and then become a physical attack. Yeah, again, lots of nice things in there as well.
Yeah, I think it's a real highlight with the slowpoke lines is just their move pools are just ridiculous. Like I think they learn moves from every type, and they learn a lot of moves that they have no right learning. Like Earthquake,
they definitely shouldn't.
Drain Punch,
like even Slowbro, the regular
Flame. I think does it get Flamethrower?
I was going to say the regular.
Ice Beam, Shadow Ball, like it just learns everything.
Why do you learn this?
Yawn, like it gets status moves like Yawn, Trick, Thunderwave.
Yeah, that was actually another bit of success I had in the speed tour. I think it was, can't remember what battle it was in the speed tour. But I had Yawn and Future Sight, so it was forcing the Pokemon to go out or be put to sleep, and then whatever was coming in was getting hit by the Future Sight. So that again, I think I was a more bulky variant at that point. But yeah, that's another. It's definitely after I used the speed tour, I thought, right, I do want to use this in the main YCL season 3.
Yeah, and I think it plays into predictions as well. Like if you can force, if you can force switches and then go in and out with Slowbro, like you're getting that regenerator boost all the time. So yeah, kind of that unique typing. Like if you can send in something like Noivern to force in a certain type, then switch in Slowbro, switch it back out again. Like it just becomes really frustrating. It's a really hard Pokemon to wear down, and obviously being immune to Toxic obviously helps that as well, and obviously being your grounded poison type to get rid of Toxic Spikes.
Oh yeah, made sure I had to get one of those. Definitely had to get a grounded poison type. It's an absolute staple in my drafting, to be honest. But yeah, your Xatu pick here, I completely agree with that as well. You've used it very effectively before, like you said, Trick Room. That was also one of the reasons I had Slowbro. Galar picked can obviously set its own Trick Room and then just go for it itself, or jump in on something else, just setting up on Trick Room. But yeah, I've seen you use your Xatu before, so obviously Cosmic Power, store power shenanigans.
Yeah.
Gets its roost up. The magic bounce definitely helps that, as you've mentioned.
Yeah. Obviously, it's
lack
not
of taunt.
it's not as bulky as you'd like, but yeah, it's definitely decent. So we're about halfway through our draft picks at the moment. Out of our 760 points, you can see after my 6th pick, I've got 260 left. So I've used 500, and Rory's spent just more than that. I guess now came the point where we're looking for a bit of synergy in our rosters, also a bit of healing power. So we actually went pretty similar with this, obviously different typings, but both wish passes with heal bell, so they can feel. I mean, if you go for their staple set, I think the only thing that would be different is swapping out foul play for Moonblast or something like that. So generally like a wish, protect, heal bell sort of set. Is that generally what you'd see Aromatisse with?
Yeah, definitely. That's why I picked it, basically. I was in two minds of Aromatisse or Alchemy. I saw some ridiculous sets that Alchemy could set up, but then it was pointed out to me that it doesn't get Wish, so it made the decision much easier for me.
Yeah, and it's really underrated getting a Wish passer in draft as well. Like sometimes it can just give you that second chance. Like, I guess for both of us, if we kind of messed up, like I know if I messed up with Dragapult or Azumarill, I mean, if you can sort of pivot around and get an opportunity to set a wish and get that second chance to send them in and get their health back, can really turn the match very quickly. And it's based on 50% of the Pokemon who sets wish as well. So like Umbreon's got a max HP of 95, so if I'm switching in that on I don't know, like an Azumarill, then I'm getting way more than 50% back in health. I think Aromatisse has got a fair bit of HP as well.
Yeah, Aromatisse is, so that's base 101.
Yeah, so you're getting quite a lot of HP back out of something, and then obviously if you're protecting, you know, you can use it as a recover for themselves. But I think having that heal bell and wish is just huge in draft, and obviously nice typings as well. I felt like I needed a dark type on my draft, and I think I might have talked you into using Aromatisse as well. Like it tanks hits just so well. Even something like a Hydreigon with that high special attack stat who gets Flash Cannon, switching in Aromatisse, it actually takes very little damage from something like that. So it can tank hits really well, heal itself back up, pass that wish over, and yeah, just fits into teams really nicely.
Yeah, definitely. I'd agreed with your picking the dark type in Umbreon. A prankster immunity is always great, especially when you're trying to run, you know, a fast type Dragapult, or if you've tried to set up Azumarill. A prankster Thunder Wave could come in and just be so painful for that. So yeah, having your prankster immunity is always good. Like you've said or mentioned previously, foul play it just adds on to that, being able to actually hit a wall breaker that would come into Umbreon, because there's the other thing as well, you can't really freely toxic Umbreon with Synchronize being there.
Yeah.
If I was to send out, say, my own, if I was to send out Aromatisse, went for a toxic, I would then get toxic back, and then it's just a game of, oh, right, okay, you can heal Bell first, and then I'll heal Bell, and then we'll just sit and play this game for ages. And so that would be fun. But yeah, so you're right in saying that you definitely swayed me towards Aromatisse at this point. I didn't actually. I've seen Aromatisse used so many times, and yeah, it has basically one staple function: just come in, be a wall, get health, pass on health, and occasionally pick up a tiny little kill with Moonblast. But Aroma Veil, so being there to stop the taunts against it is just huge for what it can do. And as previously mentioned, this is a definite fairy type for my Celesteela and Noivern trio, basically. Which,
yeah, and I think you'll find, you'll just get a lot of opportunities to switch it in. Like, it's just so bulky. Like, it can run physical, and I guess same with Umbreon. Like, they can both run physical or specially defensive sets, and yeah, I mean, they'll just come in handy. I think they tie our teams together pretty well. So yeah, I think we both did quite well with these picks.
Yeah, definitely. I can't remember what generation it was. I'm pretty sure it was probably pre-fairy type. But it might have been after, actually. But no, I do remember having a really specially defensive Umbreon and just putting Curse on it, and just it was just painful to watch. Just setting up curses.
Yeah.
And I think it was Assurance was maybe the move at the time. So it's like Curse, Assurance, Wish, I don't know, maybe Toxic or Protect with leftovers. It's just... It just gets out of hand on how bulky it can actually be.
Yeah, well, it's got 95 base HP, 110 defense, 130 special defense. So yeah, if you're setting up curses and then something like Assurance that's hitting at 60, and then if you're setting it up slow, obviously with the curses, so power doubles if your target goes first. And then you go into 120 plus the attack boost. Plus stab, like, yeah, I think you're right. It can get very out of hand very quick, and then you can't. You know, the obvious answer to that is using Toxic, but obviously that synchronize limits options a little bit on that end.
Yeah. I kind of regret telling you about that now.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Oh, we'll see.
Good game,
we'll see if I can
good
pull
game.
Yeah. We'll see if I can pull that off, but yeah, I think it was just a good answer for a lot of things that I needed to worry about in my draft. So yeah, that's our six picks so far. So we'll move on to pick number 7. All right, in with our 7th pick. So we went in a completely different direction on this one. So I got recommended using Tangela just on the basis of the hits that it can potentially take. So just calcing then, so like a choice banded Mammoth one with Icicle Crash does a max of like 70%, which, you know, when you consider it's a special attack, it's a super effective attack, and just how hard Mammoth one hits, I found that really surprising. But if you look at its stats, you know, it just really is, you know, such a heavy wall on the physically defensive side. Gets 100 base special attack, knock off, sleep powder, Giga Drain, Leech Seed, Toxic. It was 40 points, which I think was pretty fair for its pricing. I think it probably is one of the better grass walls on the cheaper end, probably with Ferroseed, but I think Tangler just fit it into my team just a little bit better. You went in a completely different direction, so if I'm not mistaken, I think in Generation 8 with the absence of Megas, Marowak Alola, I think has the highest attack stat with that Thick Club.
Yeah, that probably sounds about right. Yeah, it's honestly, I was going through. I had a couple of plans. So what we on 7th, so I had 4 picks left at this point. I was very acutely aware of how quickly I was going through the points, so I had to come up with something. As I was looking up the tiers themselves, noticed there wasn't anything that had an instant physical presence. Like, there was nothing there that just could come in and just go bam, right, that's a massive hit, switch out. I didn't have a ghost type, and I didn't have a fire type. So yeah, Marowak just fit all those roles for me. And it was basically as I was deciding that I'd picked it, looked back up the picks that I'd made before, and I have Aromatisse and Slowbro, Slowbro Galar that can both set Trick Room.
Yeah.
Especially Aromatisse being able to Wish and Trick Room, or Trick Room and Wish, whichever way around you want, lets it do this multiple times. So Trick Room into Marowak, and you know yourself, I've seen you use it before. Trick Room Marowak is just broken. Just absolutely
it's so hard. So I'm looking at stats here. Obviously Generation 7 was, completely different game with Z moves and Megas, but two of the hardest hitters from Gen 7 from my memory. So you've got Mega Heracross, max attack, adamant, has a 515 base stat, and Marowak Alola with the thick club at 568. So just blows it off the park. So yeah, if you're setting that up in Trick Room, and what I really like about that with Aromatisse as your Trick Room setter is that Aromatisse setting Trick Room, you're very rarely going to have a Dark type that's going to switch in to Aromatisse. So if you can kind of trap, that frame of mind into Trick Rooming into Marowak, you're really putting your opponent on the back foot. And it's got quite a good move pool as well. It's got a couple of good ghost moves in Poltergeist, gets Shadow Bone, Bone Meringue is really good as well. And obviously that Rockhead, label it so it doesn't take any recoil, is just awesome as well.
Yeah, definitely. It does get knockoff. Gets Iron Head as well. There's I wouldn't really call it a gimmick, but there's the smaller moves of Power Up Punch and Flame Charge. So,
yep.
Say Trick Room's going to end, and maybe say I've knocked out 3 of their Pokemon, they've got 2 left. If they're both just slightly faster than me, if you get a Flame Charge boost off, suddenly after Trick Room I'm now faster.
Yeah, and I think if you're up against really bulky slow teams, flame charge, gets it to decent speed, so it can potentially clean in those circumstances.
Yeah, yep, definitely. It's this is probably one of the Pokemon that I've picked that don't have such a versatile role. Its job is to come in and hit things hard. That's the job.
Yeah.
And I'm totally okay with that. That's what it's there for.
Yeah, I think you're right. Just something that doesn't need. Trick Room obviously helps, but it doesn't necessarily always need that that setup. Like if you're up against any kind of stall type teams, like just that instant presence on the field where things either need to stay in. If they can't stay in, they're switching out, and if Marowak picks the right move, it's generally going to pick up a kill. Yeah.
I mean, it's not even that frail when you look at it. I mean, 110 base defense, 100. Was that 80 special defense? I mean, its HP could be a bit higher, but that's it definitely helps. I mean, the other 2 the other 2 abilities, I can't see myself using Cursed Body at any point at all.
Yep. I think Flare Blitz with Rockhead's just so good, especially because its attack stats so high. Generally, you're doing a lot of damage, so you don't want that massive recoil.
Yeah, especially if it is slower than what's out on the field. So obviously, like Trick Room isn't up. If I've took a hit and then I'm doing massive damage to them, it's just more damage to me, which ends up being unhelpful, really.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, I really like that pick. I think I think these were both pretty big picks for us. I obviously already having Umbreon. I was looking for just another option in a physical wall. And I think Tangela just fills that well. But yeah, we'll see how I go with it. All right, we'll move on
Yeah,
to...
no,
Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry. No, I was going to say, yeah, I definitely agree with Tangela. A grass type is what you needed at this point. Or definitely bulky grass type is what you needed. And we've both seen somebody use Tangela to a frustratingly good end. Just sat there, took hits, leech seed, knock off, sleep powder. And then obviously the regenerator ability just lets it just come in and do it as many times as it needs to do. Yeah, I wouldn't actually, I'd disagree with you on one point of it. I would not say it was worth the 40 points. I'd definitely say it's worth up to 60 at the very least.
Yeah, I think because there are limited physical attackers that can actually handle Tangela, and the fact that it can force a switch, heal itself, gets regenerator, gets knockoff. I think it was a very good value pick. I was pretty happy with it. If anything, it's probably what I should have picked when I picked Vesper Queen, but there's no need to bring that up.
Yeah, we'll forget the Vesper Queen premature pick. It's fine.
Pick number 8. So I was absolutely stoked with this one. In season 1 of the YCL, I picked Nidoking. I think is my first pick. I've drafted it twice before. Both times I've picked it. Actually got kill leader with it. It's just so versatile. Generally running either Choice Scarf or Life Orb. Obviously Life Orb just hits so hard with Sheer Force and just with its massive move pool. I did have one game in season 1 where I ran it with an expert belt with a mix set and got 6 kills with it. Obviously having Sucker Punch can really come in clutch against those fast psychic type attacks coming in. So yeah, I just love this pick. I didn't think it would be available this late in the draft, so to be able to pick it up was 100 points. I did leave some points open to pick from a lot of good available options, but I just thought, Nidoking just gave me that versatility that just really should help me to crack teams open.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I can't believe this was left till the 8th pick. I can't believe this was left till the 8th round. This is just ridiculous. It's it's mad good. You've used it with me before or rather, I think it was actually the first battle we ever had. You brought out Nidoking, and I think it came down to a speed tie. But yeah, it could have been a devastating. Yeah, I'm more than happy for you with this pick. Like you said, you've used it multiple times before, and it's always done well. So yeah, for the 8th pick, I went for Rotom Mo. As previously mentioned, I wanted Rotom Heat, but didn't quite get it. So now I had to go on the same route that you just went on your 7th pick. I needed a grass type. Tangela was on my list of potential picks, so you just really made this pick easier for me. So I went Rotom Mo. Obviously, the ground immunity is beautiful for the electric type. It's a grass resist for Seismitoad, and yeah, it's got things that I needed basically. So Volt Switch pivot is always helpful. Its move pool itself is great. It's got the Will-O-Wisp trick I've seen used before. I think it's actually yourself I've seen used or used.
Yeah,
told me about.
I find with Rotom, just the way that it does force, I think just that unique typing in electric and grass, generally you can pick out what its switching is going to be. So if you can pick up something that doesn't appreciate getting tricked to Choice Scarf or Choice Specs or even like Lagging Tail, things like that. Really
yeah, definitely. So obviously gets the Thunder Wave gets Thunder Wave and Will-O-Wisp. I've seen people pull off the Hex with the status moves before. I mean, I don't know. Sometimes I can be a bit odd. I sometimes prefer Discharge over Thunderbolt. Just the 10,
Yeah, I'm the same.
10 points and drop. I mean, a 30% chance to
30%.
paralyze. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Defogger, that's always great. It's definitely one of the reasons I picked this as well. Pain Split, also fun. It's got a lot of things. I mean, I didn't actually
get screen. Not that you use it that often, but get screens as well.
Yeah, definitely gets the screens. I didn't actually realise it got Rising Voltage up until quite recently, so
I think
that's always great.
being a Levitator, I think, does it lose? It loses a little bit of its power.
Yeah, well, it's Rising Voltage, so 2 times power if target is grounded. So if the target's grounded, it gets doubled power, but it doesn't get the boost from the electric terrain.
Yeah, so Rising Voltage can be a bit broken if you're grounded as well, because then you get the double power if they're grounded. Then I think it's 1.5 times if you're grounded as well. So just hits really hard. But yeah, it does have a pretty cool move pool. It's got a lot of options, and yeah, just that unique typing. I think is what really makes it special. Yeah,
it definitely slotted into my team. And so this is 8th pick, so this would be on the way back up the draft, it would have been. So I would have got this after picking
no, you would have just got your 9th pick would just be just after Rotom.
Yeah. So I would have went all the way down the draft and back up. So it was a long wait between Marowak, Alola and getting this. So I was more than happy to get this. Because it stops 2 of Marowak Alolan's weaknesses in water, and obviously immune to ground.
Yeah,
so
and I think
another one I'm more than happy with.
I think being in a draft with Dracovish, which I think Dracovish went in the first round, so I think a lot of people were starting to pick up those bulky grass types and water types. So those 2 types in particular were getting a bit low at that point. All right, with our 9th picks, we both went for ice types. I went for a bit of a Trick Room Abuser, which I said I'd do after I picked Xatu. I went for Glastrier. The thing that I liked about Glastrier over other Trick Room Abusers is it doesn't necessarily need Trick Room to be effective. It's got the decent bulk in 100 HP, 130 defense and 110 special defense. So, with some HP or bulk investment, Salt Vest, things like that, can definitely survive some hits. Quite liked its 145 base attack for, Choice Band or Life Orb set. So I think I can play around with it a fair bit, depending on my opponent's rosters. And yeah, I'm looking forward to use it. It's not, it's not something I really saw myself using when Glastrier first came out, but the more I've looked at it, the more I think that I can get good use out of it. It was decent value as well at 80 points. And
I remember when you...
Sorry, you went for Sandslash?
Yeah, I was just about to say, I remember you toying over the idea of Glastrier, and it ended up coming down to it's not just a Trick Room Pokemon, it can be used for other things. So yeah, I was quite happy when you ended up saying, yeah, I'm going for Glastrier. I went for Sandslash. I mentioned previously that I was very aware that I was getting close to going over points, and the initial plan I had was I wanted Colossal at some point, just for Rapid Spin, Stealth Rock and Spikes access all in one. Unfortunately, as I looked, I would actually have become 20 points over on my original plan, so changed it up a little bit, got Alolan Marowak previously, and then saw Alolan Sandslash sitting there with Spikes, Rapid Spin and Stealth Rock. Itself, that's probably the main reason, or the main way I would consider using it. It's in itself, to function as an attacker, we need Hail Up. but we'll see that later. Base 100 attack and 120 defense, so and 75 HP. So it can take some physical attacks that aren't fighting or fire type, with the 4 times weakness from both. But yeah, itself, I mean, I could see myself coming up with some mad shenanigans that I probably won't end up using, like setting up its own hail and then using Aurora Veil and then trying to sweep, or even just trying to get hail up and then Swords Dance. I don't know. We could see what it does, but it does have some other moves in there as well. We were speaking about it earlier actually, and it has Metal Burst by itself, as well as counter and magic counter and Mirror Coat. So yeah, Metal Burst is definitely better than all of them. I suppose if it wants to be slow, because it is only base 65 speed, so slow gets Gyro Ball. Does get Super Fang. Yeah, its move pool's varied, and we were laughing at it for some reason gets Sunny Day.
Yeah.
That's great. Let's set the sun up. Why not? But yeah, so that's its main role probably. Just a spinner, which it can then abuse. Actually, as we discussed, it can actually abuse the speed boost to get up. I think, did we say above base 120 speeds?
Yeah. So after one rapid spin, it does actually outspeed like quite a few things. Like with a max positive EV, can get itself up to 376 speed after a rapid spin, which it hits quite a neat roll. And obviously, depending on your team makeup, that's kind of where I see it fitting into your roster as your main rapid spin option, but or hazard removal option. But yeah, its move pool is quite good. It's better than I actually thought it was. I think it probably got overlooked a lot in Generation 7, probably for quite a few reasons, including hidden power being an option. So having those 2 4 times weaknesses and the low special defense didn't really help. And then obviously rapid spin getting the speed boost now has obviously helped it a lot as well. It gets triple axle now as well. So I think it has picked up a few tools to give it a bit of versatility.
Yep, that's definitely what I like for drafts.
Second last pick now. So as you can see, we are very much running out of points. I went for Boulder in this 10th pick. I did want Carfol, as I was saying to Rory earlier. Unfortunately, it got taken just before my pick. So for similar reasons that he wanted something that could set Stealth Rock, Spikes, and get Rapid Spin, Carfol was basically giving me that same option. Obviously, it wasn't on the table anymore, so I went for Boulder, which at 20 points I thought was quite good. It does get the Sturdy ability, and with anything with Sturdy, there are definitely some shenanigans that go with it. Various berries that I can take advantage of. It does learn Explosion, gets Stealth Rocks. I can see myself using this for a bit of momentum. It gets Body Press as well, so it's got that base 105 attack, 105 defense. Has a very limited move pool. But yeah, if I can maybe surprise a couple of people with some little niches that it does have, then I'll be pretty happy. But yeah, we'll just have to wait and see on that. But yeah, I thought you got one of the steals of the draft, Rory, with your 10th pick. So not only did you get this in the 10th pick and it was still available, but you also got it for, was it 40 points?
Yeah, the second bottom tier it was in. It's at the top of the list as well, I think. Second on the tier. A Bomb of Snow just above it. Yeah, just sitting there the whole time. Yeah, it was one of those, when it came up in the bot that I picked it, there was quite a few reactions going, oh, that's been sitting there this whole time.
And it's got priority, it's got 130 base attack with the ability to boost. It's got a lot of options.
Yeah, definitely. So the justified ability, I'll be honest, that was definitely what drew me towards it. It's dark type for being immune to Prankster because I just hate being paralyzed. I hate Prankster Pokemon. You know very well. So yeah, I definitely needed a dark type. Justified's obviously a knockoff deterrent. Nothing really wants to just give something a free attack boost. And we were discussing earlier, I look at it, I've been using Bisharp in another draft recently, and I think I got 4 or 5 kills in another game. So yeah, just standard Bisharp, set up with Swords Dance, Black Glasses, Sucker Punch, away we go. Absol can do basically exactly the same thing. Base 75 speed, so it's not going to go trailblazing and outspeed a lot of things, but it doesn't really need to with Sucker Punch sitting there. And then also you do have the ever fun set of Super Luck with Scope Lens and its multitude of high critical hit ratio moves with what is it, Psycho Cut and Night Slash, Shadow Claw. Like, they're sitting there in its moveset with the accessibility of Super Luck already there.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, it's just pretty. It's not, like, by no means it's not broken, but it's definitely got the tools to break teams apart. And yeah, lots of opportunities to boost itself. Yeah, I do like that justified ability on it, just for that knockoff switch in, and then, you know, which, you know, so many Pokemon now learn knockoff, to be able to switch into that and then set up a Sword Stance and then, you know, just go ham with Sucker Punches. I think, yeah, I can see you using this quite productively.
Yeah, it's knockoff. Like, you need knockoff on most teams now for draft, because at some point, or at least a lot of people in the draft are going to have not fully evolved Pokemon, and it's going to be sitting there with an Eviolite as a bulky role. So you're going to bring knockoff. And obviously this is a deterrent. I do wish Absol had been given some love from its Mega Evolution after the Megas were scrapped. Either please just keep in its speed somewhere relative to what it was when it Mega evolved. Like, going from 75 to 115 and then just taking that away from it was just so cruel.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. But yeah, I think you're right with the Eviolite being so prevalent. Knockoff's just everywhere now. Even if I'm thinking in my own team, if I'm sitting there with Tangela and you're reading a knockoff, if you're switching in your Absol to a knockoff from Tangela, I think I'm fairly in trouble there with you getting the justified boost and then being able to knock off yourself. So I think you can definitely put teams in tricky positions there. Our final pick in the draft went down to two 20-point picks, obviously, with us running out of points. So I went for Trapinch, which I actually kept aside quite early on in the draft. I wanted it because in this draft league, Arena Trap is legal, so I think that can be fairly abusable, and I thought it would be quite funny using Choice Banded Arena Trap first impressions. Even having that as an option, some teams, I feel like I can force them into positions where they might need to run Protect, and if that takes away from some of their other options, then that's a little bit of a bonus for me. But yeah, kind of just thought it would be funny, even if I can only do it once, to just get a couple of first impression kills where my opponent can't switch out some of their frail Psychic and Dark types mostly. Even looking at your Absol, I'm pretty sure my Trapinch can handle that, so it could be a bit of fun.
Yeah, I liked how you picked that right after I picked Absol.
Yeah.
No, I think it went the other way with the draft order, but yeah, I see what you're doing. Yeah, I like it. We've seen it get used before. Comes in, first impression, goes out again. They can't switch. Easy kills. Of course, unless they do protect, but like you say, that ends up taking away from that's just your 4-move syndrome there, right there. Yeah. Yeah. So for my last pick, I picked Alolan Vulpix. I think it's fairly obvious why. With the Alolan Sandslash already being on the team, brings in the Hail to help that set up and go, or rather, double its speed and then go with Slush Rush. But I mean, we've discussed it slightly. It's got a couple of little niche options which probably won't get to use. So obviously, it can come in, set the Hail. If it somehow outspeeds something with its base 65 speed, it can set up the Aurora Veil. After that, I'm not really sure, to be honest. It does get Reflect. It does get Encore, Disable. Obviously, its attacking options of Moonblast. It does get priority in Ice Shard, Blizzard. And then, yeah, after that, it just gets ridiculous. So there's Baby Doll Eyes, Pain Split. Yeah, just goes into the absurd after that. But yeah, it's pretty obvious why I picked this.
Yeah, I think most times it's probably only going to sit on the field probably for 1 or 2 turns, but yeah, I think it's got the tools to just kind of build a bit of momentum for your team. If it gets up Ice, if it gets up Aurora Veil, it can just be a good momentum builder. I think it sets you up for quite aggressive starts to your matches. Even if you only bring it a couple of times, I think it just kind of paves the way, mostly for Sandslash, but then a little bit for Celesteela as well.
Yeah, it's I suppose it brings that aspect that it needs to be prepped for. Like, you can't just sit there and accept that the Hail's coming, and Alolan Sandslash is going to be able to have its speed doubled. It needs to be, I don't know, I wouldn't say it needs to be countered, but you need to have some form of plan for that.
Yeah, no, I agree. And once Sandslash hits the field, the other team has that option of, do I take out Vulpix straight away? It's an easy kill, but then Sandslash just comes in. If it's got a Focus Sash that sets up that Sword Stance, then it's going to cause some damage. Steel and Ice type together with Sandslash's move pool, which we went over earlier, I think it's kind of hard to peg back. And then, if teams have got that Fire type option that can handle a hit from Sandslash, come in and take that out, then that's taking out a counter for Celesteela. So I can kind of see where you're going with it. Even if you do go into matches with a few shared weaknesses, you can really put some pressure on those counters to pave the way for one of your other sweepers. Alright, so that was the end of our 11 picks in the draft. So neither of us went for any trades in the free trade period. There was actually quite a few trades being made straight after the draft ended, but we both stuck to ours. I was pretty happy with mine. I got my cores pretty well in order. I think I've got the versatility that I wanted. I've got a good mix of special attackers, physical attackers, bulk in the right areas. There's obviously some things that I'm going to struggle with, but I don't know. I feel like I can make it work. I'll try to be unpredictable like I've tried to do in the last couple of seasons. But yeah, I'm overall pretty happy with the roster that I ended up with. I think that starting off with Dragapult and Azumarill, I think they're two very easy Pokemon to kind of build around.
Yeah, I agree with that. Your first 2 picks definitely made it easier for the rest of the draft for your picks. Like, the 2 of them are so versatile in themselves. You can give them one role in the team, and everything else would just suit around that. Obviously, with your first 3 choices that you had written down for drafting being taken quite early, made it a bit more difficult to decide. But yeah, I'd agree with your team. It's fine. I know you toyed with the idea of possibly trading Glastrier, and I can't remember, was it one other? Possibly Vespiquen?
Yeah, I think I looked at trading Cobalion and Glastrier for Lycanroc Dusk and maybe Lucario, maybe.
I think, yeah, I think that was it.
Something like that. But yeah, I think I like the idea of having Lycanroc, but then when I looked at some of the options that both Cobalion and Glastrier had, I think I was pretty comfortable with it. And I think having Nidoking in my team as well, I think can really come in handy. I think that I've got quite a few options in my team that force switches, and if I can predict those switches, Nidoking tends to switch in on bulky mons and take them out pretty comfortably. So yeah, I think I can generally see myself making this team work for what I need to, or at least put a lot of pressure on anyway. Like, there's a lot of competitive coaches, so I don't think there's any roster that is just going to dominate based on just the roster. There's just so much skill that I think any of these coaches can use their roster and net wins that they're not necessarily expected to win. So yeah, I think versatility is really the key in a strong league like this.
Yeah, I definitely agree. After seeing, even just for the short time the Speed Tour was on, skill level it's definitely gone up from any draft that I've been in previously. So yeah, I totally agree with you. It definitely isn't about the team itself.
All right, moving on into Rory's team. So this is what he ended up with after his 11 picks, and again with no trades in the free trade period.
Yeah, so like I said, Celesteela was always my number one pick. That's what I wanted to go for. Very much happy with what ended up. So, I mean, you've got the top three there can be physically, especially offensive, either or. I mean, Celesteela and I suppose Silvally as well can both become defensive and more utility player. Again, Rotom itself, Rotom Mo can do a number of things. It's complete versatility in my team. Probably right up until maybe the latter stages, it gets more obvious or more predictable on what's going to happen. But yeah, that's all I've really looked for the whole way through. Again, yeah, there's probably things that have either been overlooked or I won't notice until later on, and we'll come up against a team and I'm like, right, okay, this one Pokemon could probably wreck me. Need to try and figure something out. But at that point, I'm sure I'll be more comfortable with the team.
Yeah, and I think the advantage of having having Silvally, I think when you say that one thing can wreck you, I think that Silvally kind of can fill that role to an extent. You know, you've got a good mix of types, and there's a lot of setup options as well. So, you know, there's definitely some options on your team that can really get out of hand quite quickly. You know, you've got that semi-trick room kind of feel about it. Slowbro is just kind of weird. Like, it's just got that really expansive move pool. So I feel like teams have to kind of prep for that. And then you've got that little bit of fear with that quick draw, quick claw option. Marowak hitting so hard. So I think you've definitely got a roster that can make coaches second guess what they're bringing every week.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I mean, I didn't go in with the idea of, right, I'll get Trick Room going. But yeah, as you can see, there's definitely at least two definite Trick Room abusers right there.
Yeah, and then you've got Celesteela as well. Like, you know, it's something that can set up and sweep. It's so hard to kill, which I think, you know, kind of sets itself apart from a lot of the other setup sweepers in draft, that it just survives hits so well. Yeah,
definitely. I think the irony of my team is that the amount of setup sweepers it has, it could probably be countered by my mascot, that's just sad. It hurts me.
Yeah, that was unfortunate, but I can see this working. I think Aromatisse is sort of the underrated pick in your draft overall. I think your team really appreciates that Wish and Heal Bell support. I think that keeping things like Seismitoad healthy, potentially giving something like Silvally a second chance to come in with extra health, same as Celesteela, same as Slowbro. I think it can just make for a really difficult time picking your team apart. Like, there's no sort of approach of, if I get rid of the walls, I can plow through the rest of the team. I don't see how that's an option against your roster.
Yep, and I'm totally happy with that, to be totally honest.
And that brings us to an end of our draft analysis for the Cerulean City Mewtwo and the Dundee Dittos. We'll leave a link to both of our YouTube channels in each other's descriptions, but I think we're both looking forward to this season. Is there anything in particular you're really looking forward to, Rory?
To be honest, just actually getting involved, because you've been pestering me since, I think, last November to actually start doing this. And yeah, after seeing the YCL, I've watched a couple of last season's videos, as well as being involved in the speed tour, so it does seem something to definitely get involved in. It should be good.
Yeah, I think for me, I really enjoyed, I joined in season 1. I think I kind of lucked out. I really wanted to join a league that was on the Draft League NL website. This was just the one that I came past. Season 1 started a bit scratchy with its organization, and then that owner left, and then Sen took over, and then I think since then, he just hit the ground running, and it's become a really successful league. There's some really, really strong players in the league, and I feel like I've learnt a lot from them, and it's really lifted my game. So yeah, I finished semi-finalist in season 1 and lost the championship game last season. So yeah, I'm really, really looking to go one further and hopefully take out the league. But yeah, if you have a look at the level of competition, I think that's going to be extremely difficult.
Yeah, I get what you're saying there. I mean, I've seen you come into other leagues, even just into smaller drafts, and you can definitely see the improvement from when you say you've joined, and that's what I'm kind of looking to do as well, get better and better, and yeah, so the speed tour, I definitely would say that I lucked out as well, and making it to the finals. We won't talk about the final game though, will we? Because that was just not enjoyable for me. It was enjoyable for you, but not for me. But yeah, after that, it was a case of, yes, I quite enjoy this. This could be fun. And then yeah, there's obviously the chance to actually put out some battles.
Yeah, and your first dip into content creation as well. So yeah, I'm excited to see what you put out as well. So yeah, that'll do us for this video. Round 1 should go up, I think, about 2 weeks from now, depending on when our videos actually get online. But schedule's due to come out anytime now. So yeah, looking forward to it. We'll leave a link to the YCL Discord server as well, and a link to the YCL website as well, so you can check out our schedules and rankings.